Alrighty, so today after we saw the US Open Cup and the Campeones Cup happen, and then it's 2 days after we saw the only midweek games that happened this week in MLS that has happened. I was originally going to do this video yesterday, but I got home relatively late. I mean, saying relatively late is an understatement. I got home at 4 in the morning last night. So yeah, that's why I'm delaying to today. And yeah, there's definitely some big talking point in terms of the games that we saw. And also, I want to quickly mention that I want to congratulate the Vancouver Whitecaps in terms of winning their fourth consecutive Canadian championship. They won their Canadian championship game against Vancouver FC, a CPL team, and that is now four consecutive Canadian championship title they've won in their in the Canadian championship history, which is the most consecutive Canadian championship won by a single team, which is kind the surreal considering that this was a team that just kind of struggled to win the Canadian championship for a long time. It feels like it was Toronto and Montreal for a long time that was going to win the Canadian championship, but now it seems like the Vancouver Whitecaps are saying not so fast because they're now dominating this tournament, and rightfully so because out of those three Canadian MLS team, I think the Vancouver Whitecaps is by far the stronger compared to those two other Canadian team in MLS. But with that being said, let us first talk about the game that happened on Tuesday, the only midweek games that happened this week, and it was a makeup game between Inter Miami versus the Chicago Fire. And I am proudly to say, and I'm pretty sure Chicago Fire fans are proudly to say, that for the first time since 2017, and for the first time since I start covering MLS on this channel in 2018, the Chicago Fire have made it to the playoffs. I mean, it's feels surreal, and honestly, as throughout the season, I mean, I have said many times before how I really want this curse to end. I mean, I'm not a Fire fan, but even I feel a lot of sympathy, and I was in this game. I was kind of really rooting for the Fire when they scored the goal. I was celebrating like I'm a Fire fan because I just feel like this has to be the game to end it, or at least in these last couple of games, it finally has to come to an end. And I think this game also kind of just shows you that the Chicago Fire wants to not only win this game, but they want this more, and they want to get it done in this game instead of later to clinch for the playoffs. The adversity that they had to face in this game is something that we don't see past Fire fans overcome this. And if there is an example of Greg Berhalter clearly changed the culture and the identity of this team, this is a game to see. I mean, like I said, there was a couple of times that they would face heavy adversity, face heavy pressure against Inter Miami team, but they just had that drive that they want to get it done tonight in terms of making the playoffs. And kudos to them to able to finally do so. Now, in the first half, the first shot of the game did see Ustari deny Bomba from close range. And also, by the way, I'm going to change something really quick. I just realized this. I mean, I'm pretty sure Fire fans are going to be very mad that I didn't change this. Let me change that in terms of that. And I'll get to that mistake I made once we get to the goal that we're talking about. But yeah, the first shot of the game did see Ustari deny Bomba from close range, but in the 10th minute, Avila would score. He scored from Haile Selassie to give Chicago a 1-0 lead, and yeah, Miami Achilles heel struck again. They are a team that, in terms of set piece defending, we know how poor they are. It has gone a little bit better as the second half of the season has gone, but yeah, this feels like it's a flashback to the first half of the season where they just simply cannot defend set pieces, cannot defending balls coming into the box from the corner, and yeah, credit to the Fire, they took a 1-0 lead. The first shot for Miami did see Suarez miss wide from close before Messi hits one right to Brady, and then he hits one right to Brady on the free kick in the 20th minute. Miami definitely have woken up. It was a bit of a rare slow start for them. They didn't start on time in this one, but now they were pressing for the equalizer. But instead, in the 31st minute, Chicago make it 2-0. As Jonathan Dean, he scored from Kuami and Bamba to make it 2-0 in favor of the Chicago Fire. What's kind of interesting in terms of the goals that the Chicago Fire have scored, I don't think Kuiper's actually got on the score sheet in this game either. Like I'm looking at the goals that are scored. Yeah, Kuiper didn't even get on the score sheet in this one, and not even Jonathan Bamba got on the score sheet as well. So what's kind of surreal about this performance and this five goals that Chicago have scored, it has kind of come from a very unlikely source. I mean, you would have never expected Jonathan Dean would be on the end of scoring a goal, but here he is scoring the second goal here from Kuami and Bamba. It came off a lightning counter attack as well, which that's another thing that Miami struggled this season. They have had a tough time when it comes to dealing with teams trying to hit on the transition against them. DePaul did try to answer, but he missed wide in the 38th minute. But then in the 39th minute, Miami would get one back as Aviles would score to get one back for Miami, and yeah, that is one that Brady would want to have back into to this game. I mean, for the most part, Brady did really well in this one, but I think this is kind of one of the goal that he probably would want to have back. Didn't do a good job in terms of parrying this one out, and then it just caused some chaos. And when the chaos happened, yeah, more times or not, the opposition is going to capitalize, and especially when you face against Miami, yeah, you're going to get punished because of it. So yeah, that made it 2-1 in this one. And you think, well, momentum is now with Miami, and looks like the good time is over for the Fire, right? Well, no, because in the 42nd minute, Tuami would score from Haile Selassie to make it 3-1 in favor of the Fire. Again, just something you didn't expect it, considering Miami was really on top up to this point. Elliott did look for another, but he heads it wide before DePaul puts it wide from close in the 4th minute of stoppage time. And we do head to halftime with Chicago leading 3-1 in this game against Miami. But remember, this is Miami. You can't, even with a 3-1 lead, you know deep down Chicago is nowhere near in terms of getting the crucial 3 points to finally end their curse. But in the second half, the post would deny Messi, but falls to Alade, who also struck the post there in the 52nd minute. It also came off a bad turnover from the Chicago Fire. Yeah, you just can't do that against Miami. Chicago got very lucky to get away with that one. Brady then denied Fry from close in the 55th minute. Miami definitely was on top heading into the second half. They were pounding on the door, trying to get themselves one back. Chicago was just trying to hope to ride out the pressure. The bad news is they weren't able to do so in the 58th minute because Suarez would score from Rodriguez to give one back again for Miami as it's now 3-2. Messi did look for his second and the equalizer, but he missed one in the 60th minute, and then he missed one from long range in the 63rd minute as Miami continued to just kind of pour on the pressure. Chicago looked like they were on the ropes up to this point. Alande would then hits one right to Brady in the 73rd minute, but then in the 74th minute, Miami ties the game up at 3 apiece. As Suarez would score from Alba and Rodriguez to tie the game up at 3 apiece. Yeah, that was vintage Suarez there with the goal, but you just kind of had seen that one coming. I mean, it was all Miami in the second half, and it was mostly Miami in this game as well. But again, if there's one thing that kind of shows you that the Chicago Fire has been different. Like past Fire team would probably give up the fourth goal and end up blowing a 3-1 lead, but this is a different Chicago Fire team. It just feel like they really want this more because in the 80th minute, again, another guy you would have never guessed it that he would end up on the goal scoring sheet, but Justin Reynolds does. He scored from Pineda and Gutierrez to give the Fire the lead back, just completely against the run of play. And even that goal, not only nobody saw it coming. I mean, Chase Stadium, I think there was a couple of times where they are kind of just in stunned silence. The fact that that it looks like all the momentum was with them, but only for the Fire to score on the other end. I don't even think Fire fans saw this coming too. I mean, Fire fans probably realized that once that third goal was scored for Miami, that we've seen this story before. It seems like we just gotta have to wait till the next game to clinch because the meltdown is about to start. But here, they score a goal against the run of plays to make it 4-3. Brady then denied Suarez on the back post, and as much as Brady, yes, he did give up the softy goal to Alvarez there. He's been big in this one. He made some big save in this one. If it wasn't for him, I think Miami probably would have scored more than the free goals that they had. Alande would then hits it right to Brady, but then the 84th minute, this was the dagger. As Gutierrez would score from Haile Selassie to give the Fire a 5-3 lead up to this point, and what a way to finally end the curse with a banger like that. I mean, that was just an absolute banger, and one that, if this was happening during the weekend, definitely in contention for goal of the week, and might have even won the goal of the week as well. Messi trying to make it 5-4, but he hits it right to Brady before he puts it high from long range. So Miami was still trying to attack, the Fire, obviously, as much as it's 5-3. You're never sure in terms of them able to hold on to the massive free points until the full time whistle. Zikanago did try to make it 6-3, but he puts it wide from close range. But in the end, ladies and gentlemen, the Chicago Fire has finally ended the playoff curse. It's been 8 long years for this team, the longest active playoff streak so far in MLS. But it's all vanquished after this game, as they made it to the playoffs for the first time in first time since 2017 and first time since I've started covering MLS in 2018. I mean, I mentioned many times this was the last team that I think out of all the MLS teams that I did ever since I started covering MOS in 2018 to not make it to the playoffs. The shots in this one, 24 shots with 11 that Chicago had, 6 shots on goal for the 11 that Miami has, 6 shots off target for the 3 that Chicago has, 2 shots that was blocked for the 4 that Miami has, and possession wise, 60% possession compared to the 40% possession that the Fire has in this game. And not only the fact that the Chicago Fire has now clinched a playoff spot, there's a chance that they can actually get themselves even higher in the standings, because when you look at where they are in the standing, they're not that far away from seventh position as well. So there's a chance where they can actually even avoid the play in round, which a couple of weeks ago that feels like it was a pipe dream, but that's just how it is with the Chicago Fire. I mean, this has just been the complete opposite of what we usually see in the narrative of this team. Usually this is the time of the year where they go on a self-destruction mode, but this year it's been the complete different. They have rise to the challenge, and now it seems like they could even get themselves higher in the standings, up to the point where they can actually don't even have to worry about the wild card game or the playing game. They can just think about playing the best of 3 series and finally have a playoff game at Soldier Field for the first time since the moving back to Soldier Field a couple of years back. But for Inter Miami, there's got to be a lot of concern, and I think the fatigue has started to catch up to this team. And this is where, if you're Javier Mastrano, obviously the supporter shield dream it is probably really gone right now. And I think heading into the playoffs, especially with this team in a MLS Cup or bust situation, you kind of had a sense you might have to think about resting some of your guys, because if you head into the playoffs and you head to the playoff relatively tired, yeah, that could be a huge concern. Now, the good news I think for Miami is that I think after this weekend's game, they're going to have at least a little bit of break. I believe they do play during the international break, but still, they're not going to be playing 3 games in 7 days. I think this is the last midweek game that they're going to be playing this season. So there's the good news in terms of the fact that this team would deserve a much needed rest, because this team definitely look like they need some rest. But again, the expectation doesn't change with this team. If this team does not win MLS Cup, it's an absolute bust of a season, and it's an absolute failure of a season. And unfortunately, it feels like it's kind of heading to that direction with the way that their defense has started to go in the wrong direction, like what we saw early this season. That being said, I am now going to switch board and now look at the U.S. Open Cup and the Campeones Cup that happened yesterday. All right, so now let's talk about the U.S. Open Cup final. And from these 2 days, we definitely saw history that is being made with the Fire making the playoffs for the first time since 2017. But for Nashville SC, they won their first ever trophy in club history. And they also mentioned that this is also the first sports championship that a professional team in Tennessee has ever won. Not quite sure if that, of course, is true. I mean, I guess it might be true because, the Tennessee Titans, they never won the Super Bowl. Nashville Predators also have never won the Stanley Cup as well. And depending on if you want to count the U.S. Open Cup as a championship, I mean, it is a trophy after all. I guess that's kind of true with the fact that Nashville become the first Tennessee professional team to ever win a title. Though I will say that this was a game that it wasn't the mere because of controversy, because of course there's going to be controversy, especially in a cup final, and I can understand why Austin fans are absolutely livid after this game, because there were definitely some calls that gone against them. But that being said, I would also argue Nashville had some calls that kind of gone against them, and this was just one of those games where the team that shown the more clinical finishing able to win the final. Now in the first half, I thought Austin was on the front foot early. Schaffelberg with the game's first shot, but he hits it right to Stuver before Mayer hits it wide from the free kick. I thought Nashville started to get into this game. They were looking to try to get themselves the opener, and they do in the 16th minute, as Hani Mukhtar would score from Schaffelberg to give Nashville a 1-0 lead. So coming into this game, obviously for Nico Estevez, their message is they have to somehow stop Mukhtar and Surge in this game. Yeah, mission fail in this one. Both of those guys end up to be on the goal scoring chart, and the two guys are the reason why Nashville lift the U.S. Open Cup. So that being said, a penalty was given to Austin not long after Schwake brought down Uzunu in the box, and this is where we begin to talk about some refereeing decision that were very controversial. Because yeah, you notice how I put the quotation mark brought down. I don't think this was a penalty. I think this was the wrong call. Yes, Uzuni did take a touch there as well, but Schwake looked like he got the ball there, and then he bring down the defender, and he definitely had his intention in terms of instead of trying to palm the ball away. And I love how in the broadcast they were even bringing the Rue analyst Christina Uncle to explain the call. And honestly, when I always hear like analysts stuff like that, I mean, I just feel like sometimes I kind of question: are they really a true rule analyst, or the fact that they're just trying to defend the referee there? Because it feels like Christina Onko is defending the referee there, because I don't think she even know what the actual rule is. And I think Tony Miller also mentioned that he didn't agree with this call, and I agree with him too. I don't think that was a penalty. It was pretty clear that Schwalke got the ball and have an intention in terms of getting the ball before bringing down Uzuni. It doesn't matter if the attacker put a touch in it. If a goalkeeper actually intended to try to play the ball and got the ball before bringing down the attacker, it's not a foul in my book, and it's even written in the rule book as well. So yeah, again, so much for so-called rule analysts from Christina Uncle. So yeah, the penalty, of course, was given, but guess what? You know the phrase "ball don't lie"? Well, yep, it happened in this one. And honestly, I had a feeling this was gonna happen. Like before the penalty was taken, I just had a feeling that the soccer gods are about to give a "ball don't lie" moment in terms of that, because that clearly shouldn't have been a penalty. And yeah, it's exactly what we saw. As Schwalke denied Uzuni from the spot. Now it wasn't a great penalty from Uzuni whatsoever. He has had his struggles from the penalty kick spot as well. But again, that just feels like poetic justice every time I see that. Always love to see the ball don't lie kind of moment happen in that play. So yeah, the game remains 1-0 in favor of Nashville. Schwalke then denied Uzuni or denied Bakari from close range. I gotta say, Schwalke, he hasn't made a start in MLS so far, and big part of that is because Joe Willis has been between the stick and probably will be between the stick for the rest of the season. But this is kind of like a situation where we saw Seattle and Brian Schmitzer decide to give the tournament to Andrew Thomas. I think it's the same case with BJ Callahan. He's going to give this tournament to his young goalkeeper Schwake here, and he definitely responded big in terms of this final. But there was no doubt that Austin was trying to press back to get the equalizer. Hindsight then heads it wide from close range before Schwake denying Wolf from long range in the 35th minute. Bakari was then in on goal there, but he was crucially blocked by Mayer. Austin was putting a lot of pressure. I mean, it was wave after wave of pressure. It feels like them not getting the goal from the penalty spot. It just got them even more angry. Or try to put the ball into the back net. Miro would then hit it wide in the back post before Nahal with a rare chance for Nashville from a while now, but he puts it wide from long range. But then the first minute of stoppage time, Austin finally had that pressure paid off, and Uzuni kind of make amends for missing that penalty by scoring himself from Ilie to make it 1-1 in this one. Yeah, that's one has been coming, though. In a Nashville perspective, that's got to be very frustrating. They were so close of riding out that sure with a 1-0 lead, but all of a sudden the game was tied up at one apiece. Conte would then head to Y after Schwake kind of came off his lines and didn't get to it. So as much as I give Schwake a lot of credit in this one, that was kind of the one moment where you can see the inexperience, and he kind of made a mistake in this moment. Very lucky he got away with that one, but there was no doubt that Nashville needs halftime. The momentum was all with Austin. Austin just didn't want this stoppage time to end. They were pressing hard to try to get the lead before halftime, and they probably could have done so if it wasn't for another controversial moment with refereeing where the halftime whistle was blown just as Nashville looked like they were committing a WTF turnover. I mean, I think that was. I mean, I can understand why Austin fans are upset, and I can also understand why the players were very upset with that, because they looked like they won the ball back and was about to go on the attacking end. But again, it's all on the referee in terms of his discretion, or in this case, her discretion in terms of when to blow the whistle when the stoppage time is over. And by then, we were already over the stoppage time limit. So yeah, I can see why she decided to do so, but it also is not very satisfying for the other team when you look like you're about to go on an attacking moment, or in this case, Nashville committed WTF turnover, and the referee says, "Nope, it's over." Now, to be fair, to her defense, that also kind of came after Nashville was about to go the other way and clear the ball away, and that's usually when the referee blows the whistle when an attacking sequence has ended. But it just kind of unfortunate timing. The fact that as she was about to blow, Nashville literally was committing a WTF turnover, and like I said, Austin. Players and fans, I can understand why they're very frustrated about that. It's just unfortunate timing, in my opinion. But we do head to halftime with this game tied up at one apiece. But then the second half, more refereeing controversy. So a penalty was given to Nashville as Palacio was brought down by Pereira. But yeah, I should have put brought down with a quotation mark because this was very soft. I don't think this was a penalty either. I guess maybe this is a makeup call from what we saw earlier in the game. And, Austin was hoping, well, is ball don't lie moment going to have go in their favor as well? Well, the answer is no because Sam Surridge is there to step up from the penalty spot. Now, Nashville has had their issue from the spot as well, but Surridge buries this one to give Nashville a 2-1 lead. So, yeah, Austin fans are probably absolutely living now. First, they had the halftime whistle gone against them as they were about to go on the attack sequence, and now this, I mean, yeah, you can clearly see, and there were times in this game where, yeah, the referee was told that he really sucked, or in this case, the referee was told she really sucked in this game. Biro would then look to respond, but it missed swipe before I thought Austin was pressing back to try to look for the equalizer. Wolf would then hit it right to Schwake. Nashville was definitely in there. Gary Smith low block trying to hold on for their first ever trophy. And then another bizarre situation in the 6 minute of stoppage time where Surge actually got himself a second yellow card after he kicked this ball away. Now, his argument was the fact that he felt like a second ball was coming into play, and there was. I mean, the second ball was coming into play, so I think that's why he kicked the ball away, thinking that, well, the second ball was coming in, and and Stuver was about to boot that one away. Now, unfortunately, what doesn't help his case is the fact that Stuver was kind of about to kick that one was ready to set to kick that ball away before the second ball comes. And in that situation, I feel like for Surridge, even if a second ball does come in, just leave it alone. I mean, the referee can always just stop the play when a second ball comes, and maybe then they'll kick it away. There's really no need for him to trying to kick it away, even if he thinks that a second ball comes in. But nevertheless, he was giving his marching order. The good news about that is the fact that it happened in the 6 minute stoppage time. Austin pretty much had no time to try to get themselves the equalizer. But yeah, in the end, Nashville, they win their first ever U.S. Open Cup, and as I said, the first ever trophy in their club history with a 2-1 win. The shots in this one, 16 shots for the 7 that Nashville has. I didn't put the shots on off target in the blog because on the league website didn't actually post that. So 8 shots on goal for the 2 that Nashville has in possession wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that Nashville has in this game. Now, again, I understand why Austin fans are very upset in terms of the refereeing decision that goes against them. But at the same time, I think when you look at how this game is, I think Nashville deserved to win this one, considering they were the more clinical side. How many times we said in a game, when you are giving the chance, you have to finish your chance. You have to show your clinical finishing. And while I know the Nashville netminder Schwaki definitely had a great game in this one, I mean there were just multiple chances that Austin should have put the ball into the back net. And this also kind of goes back to the problem that they have this season. I mean, this is a team that has had their struggle this season when it comes to scoring, especially at home. I mean, there was that one stretch where they only scored 11 goals in 11 games, and it's kind of got to a point where when you don't score a lot of goals, even when you're giving the chance to do so, you're not able to show that clinical finishing because a lot of these guys are mostly snake bitten in front of goals. So yeah, very frustrating for Austin. They'll definitely feel like it's a missed opportunity. But like I said, for Nashville, they deserve this win because they were the more clinical side, they were the more opportunistic side, and in many ways, they play a perfect road game in this one. This is what a perfect road win looks like, where you're gonna have to survive some pressure from the whole host, but if you take your chances and able to see it out, that's exactly what you can do. And like I said, congratulations to Nashville SC winning their first ever trophy and winning the U.S. Open Cup for the very first time as well. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about the Galaxy versus Toluca, and this was a crazy game as well. I mean, this was Camponenes Cup after dark, at least what we saw in the last 10 minutes of this game. And this game, I think, kind of just sums up the Galaxy season. I mean, this is a game where the Galaxy, as I'll talk about with them in the moving forward series, probably today as well. Today, I think is the time where I'm going to talk about the defending MLS Cup champ in the moving for series that it's been a season of hell for the LA Galaxy. And part of that is because of bad luck that kind of gone against them, and part of that is them having meltdown down late in the game. And what do you know? We saw in this one there was a game where they looked like they had this game won. They were up in this game, score that crucial second goal late in this game, and had all the momentum on their side after just a couple of minutes ago. Toluca thought that they got the lead, but yeah, it feels like this team all of a sudden forgot how to defend set pieces in this game. Now, in the first half, Miller with the game's first shot, but he curls it wide as the Galaxy was on the front foot. They were pressing to try to get the opener. The first shot of the game did see Castro struck the post from long range before Painso puts it wide from close as the shots were 3-1 for the Galaxy early in this one. Toluca did start to get into this game with more of the possession, but instead, in the 32nd minute, a penalty was given to the Galaxy as Peck was brought down by Gallardo in the box. So here comes Fagundes. This steps up to take the penalty, and he buries it. So that gives the Galaxy a 1-0 lead. Vega did look to respond, but it was deflected high. It also came off of a bad giveaway from the Galaxy, and they got away with that one. I mean, the last team you want to turn the ball over is against this lethal Toluca attack, and this won't be the only time we'll talk about the Galaxy turning the ball over in this one. They had a lot of bad turnovers in this one, and most of the time they got away with it. Garcia would then deny Miller from close before Pereira would hit it right to Mikovic in the first minute of stoppage time. And then at the halftime whistle, yeah, the Toluca manager, he definitely had some choice words with the assistant referee. In fact, he actually confronted the assistant referee, and yeah, you can't do that. If you do that, that is an automatic send off. So he was sent to the stands as a result. Won't be the only assistant in this game for Toluca to get sent off in this one. But as we head to halftime with the Galaxy leading 1-0 in the second half, Castro would hit it right to Mikovic before Toluca was definitely on the front foot. The Galaxy, I feel like they're sitting a little too deep and inviting pressure, and that's kind of something you just don't want to do against Toluca, especially of how lethal their attack is. And Lauren Beho, in the 53rd minute, they found out the hard way as Castro would score here to tie the game up at one apiece. It was a banger, but at the same time, zero closing down from the Galaxy. Like you have to do a better job in terms of closing down, especially of how dangerous a player is Castro in terms of long range. I mean, he did it 3 times in this game and came close 3 times as well. So yeah, if you keep playing with fire and keep giving him some space, I mean, eventually he's gonna bury it, and there you go. He buries that one to tie the game up at one apiece. Mikovic then denied Vega, but then gave up a rebound, which Toluca feel like Harbor Miller brought down Paulinho in the box, and they definitely have a case. I mean, that definitely looked like it was a penalty, and I think Harbor Miller got very lucky that he got away with this one. But there was no doubt the momentum was all with Toluca. The Galaxy was on the ropes. They need to really ride out this pressure that Toluca was bringing. And it seems like they did. After Painso hits it right to Garcia, I thought they kind of survived the early pressure that Toluca was putting in. They started to find that transitional moment, which is something that we didn't see them do for the most part of the second half as well. Yamane would then puts it wide from close range before Fagundes cleared Paulinho shot off the line in the 69th minute. The game really started to become stretched, which I thought that kind of favorites the Galaxy because that's kind of the game that Greg Vanny team likes to play. Mendez would then hits it over from the corner before Vega puts it high from close in the 76th minute. That also came off a bad turnover as well from the Galaxy. Yeah, they need to stop turning the ball over time and time again. The amount of bad turnover in this one by the Galaxy, that's got to drive Galaxy fans absolutely nuts, and I'm pretty sure that drive Greg Vanny nuts as well, seeing his team just coughing up the ball and giving Toluca chances on a short field to capitalize. But in the 78th minute, it looked like they did finally score here as Paulinho put it into the back net. Problem was, they go to VAR to see whether or not if the goal was offside, and they also had the virtual offside line for this game as well. And I guess they didn't really show the replay of the virtual offside line throughout this game, which was kind of bizarre because usually they do show that. But yeah, in the end, they said that of course, when D was offside, it was not by much. It was by a marginal amount, but fortunate for the Galaxy, they got away with it. And that also came off of a set piece as well. And as I said in the beginning, set pieces would be a huge problem for the Galaxy late in this game. They just forgot how to defend it late in this one. But one thing they didn't forget is to get themselves the lead, as in the 84th minute, Gabriel Peck would score to make it 2-1 in favor of the Galaxy. That looked like more of the Gabriel Peck of last season, showing his ability on the attack. And boy, did the table has turned. I mean, just as you thought Toluca looked like they were up 2-1 in this one, 3 minutes later, the Galaxy got the momentum back. And usually you're thinking, well, this is it, right? Seems like the Galaxy has got that second goal. It's an absolute backbreaker for Toluca, and for good measure, Toluca, the interim head coach, the one that was taking charge of being the head coach, one of the assistant after the main manager got sent off, himself also got sent to the stands as well. So he probably had some choice words, especially of the disallowed goal that is happened. So yeah, I think this is the first time I've seen two in term or two assistant, first the manager and an acting head coach get sent off in the same game as well. That was kind of a wild scene to see. But we then had some coming together between both of these teams. Again, the the tempers were really boiling over between both of these teams. But yeah, like I said, you think that this was over, but remember, this is the Luca we're talking about. Well, and this is a team that they have faced adversity before. I think they've been in this situation before in Liga MX, and it kind of proved that they can always overcome it because in the 88th minute, Romero would score to tie the game up at two apiece, and they also remember that the Galaxy cannot defend set pieces. I mean, this was coming off of a set pieces as well. There was question whether if this was maybe offside as well when this one was knocked back to Romero, who puts it into the back of the net. It wasn't, so the game was tied up at two apiece. Mikovic then denied Vega on the free kick, but then on the next sequence, on really the last kick of the game before we head into a PK shootout, Pereira would score. So he scored from Castro to make it 3-2 in favor of Toluca, and yeah, it came all of a set piece again. Just the Galaxy, they forgot how to defend set pieces, and Greg Vanny was absolutely livid with his team after the end of the game, especially the mentality that they shown. I mean, I don't blame him for getting mad at his team because I mean it's quite shocking to see how the Galaxy. I mean, it's quite shocking, but at the same time, it really isn't because of how the season has gone for this Galaxy side that they would literally switch off like this, especially on set pieces, and just get burned over and over again when it comes to set piece defending late in this one. So yeah, in the end, Toluca they kind of did an Austin in this one, stealing it late as on the verge of going to a PK shootout, just like Austin did against Minnesota with a 3-2 win. The shots in this one, 17 shots for the 9 that the Galaxy had, 7 shots on goal for the 4 that the Galaxy had, 4 shots off target for the 2 that Toluca has, 6 shots that was blocked for the 1 that the Galaxy had, and possession-wise, 61% possession compared to the 39% possession the Galaxy has in this one. I mean, overall, Toluca definitely deserved to win this game, but it also doesn't help the fact that the Galaxy blew it in this one. They had the opportunity to not only salvage the season, but actually salvage the season with a trophy and with just 6 minutes away. And then again, just because they forgot how to defend set pieces, they pay the ultimate price. Because when you decide to let Toluca back into this game, yeah, usually that's not gonna go so well. Toluca has shown more times or not that they know how to score late, and they know how to score late in quick succession. I mean, just as Columbus, how that worked out for them when they blow a 2-0 lead in quick succession against Toluca in the Leeds Cup. But there you have it. That is pretty much it. Looking at these three games that we saw on Wednesday and Tuesday, minus the Canadian Championship. That is, yeah. I'm sorry, Canadians, but I didn't really watch that game as well. I was too busy in terms of watching these two games. That is, but anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure to leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.